Hi guys, so today we are looking at this Alpine car head unit. The model number of this is 5255. This was first seen in the 1988 Alpine catalogue, and I believe it ran for about 4 years, this model. Now the unique thing about this one is that it's a cassette only, so it's not a combined radio cassette, it's just cassette. And I don't think Alpine replaced it with another cassette only deck after this one. I think this was the only one that they did. I know they did a DAT, digital audio tape head unit, but all of the others were all combined. It was a radio cassette. And this one was marketed as a high-end cassette only deck in the time. So we've got metal tape on there. It also has noise reduction, Dolby noise reduction. It just says Dolby system, so I'm assuming that's Dolby B. And here we have on the display, it's a level meter, it's a VU bar graph meter here, and it did look quite attractive. Now Alpine sold many machines around that era. Their catalogue was stuffed full of them, and like I said, this was the only one that was cassette only. So the problem with this one is it doesn't play tapes. So it does power up, but as soon as you put a tape in, it ejects straight away. So I will show you that. I just need to connect some leads on the back here. Now this connector this stereo was designed for a quick release. I'm not sure what these are. It would have come with some sort of handle, but this doesn't look as though, unless the handle was attached to this perhaps on the front and it's missing now. But yeah, I don't know what these are. But this would have been a quick release mechanism. So the idea is you would install into the car a cage which had a socket which would mate up with the back of this. So these round areas here, this would be some sort of locating device, indexing locating device, probably some plastic pegs on the cage itself. So when you push this in, it would align with these, and the socket would connect. So this whole thing was meant to quick release. You'd just pull this out of the car when you left the car, so it wasn't on show, and what would be left behind would be the cage with the sockets and all the wiring going into the car. So I don't have that part, so I'm having to connect up my wires to here. Looking at the service manual, I've created a little picture here of what those connectors look like. So if you've got one of these and you're not sure what these pins are, then you can follow this diagram here. This will show you what everything is. Again, it's different from the radio cassettes, because the radio cassette obviously has an aerial as well. So this diagram is just for this model, the 5255. So looking at that, the power is on the bottom 2 pins. We've got a power ignition and power battery, and then the next one up is the ground. So I will connect that up now. I can put the 12 volts on the bottom 2 connectors and then ground on the next one up. So 12 volts connected up. We put a tape in. So all it's doing is switching between forward and reverse. It's an auto reverse deck, but it's not actually playing, it's just going forwards and backwards. The pause works. Fast forward. Let's rewind. Fast forward. They seem to work. It's just the play that's not working. I suspect that it would be a belt in here. Most of these cassette decks of this age suffer from poor belts, so I'm imagining that's what it is. So what we'll do is let's take this apart and we'll see what the problem is. I'll take these side pieces off first. Looks like this top cover needs to come off. It's not in the best of shape, this. There's a scratch on the front on the display. There's a dent on the top you can see there. But it's not too bad. I've seen worse. Not really very much inside here. See the Dolby chip there, and there's a couple more ICs under that cassette mechanism. So let's power it up now the lid's off, and let's see what's happening with that cassette. So I don't know if you can see there, but the mechanism's engaging, so the playhead is engaging, but the spools are not turning at all. Let's just try the rewind and fast forward. Yeah, rewind and fast forward's working, but the spools aren't turning at all. So I suspect that it's the capstan that's not spinning. So the capstan, I guess, is driven from a belt. So let's disconnect this. Can't actually see the belt there. So it looks like 4 screws holding that mechanism in. Let's take those out. They're tight. It looks like it's got a card edge connector on the back of that transport, so hopefully that whole thing will come up without any extra connectors. careful with it because they are fragile, these old machines. Oh, there we go, that's neat. That's the connector on the bottom there. And it engages with this connector. Yeah, I like that. There's a switch there for a pre-in off and on, and according to the pinouts there is a line in, but there's no record option on this, I don't think. Yeah, I can't see any record option. We're still no further in, so we need to take this bottom plate off, I think. Can't see any more screws in here. There is a very small washer there, that blue washer. It looks as though it's a locking washer, but I don't think that's what's stopping this coming off. There it is, it's only small. I think these wires need to come off as well. They're soldered onto the board on this end, so I wonder whether that's just a push fit. Still got some stick, that vintage tape. it doesn't feel as though they're going to pull out those. Oh, this plate is loose now. It's just those wires stopping it. Yeah. Oh, the whole thing comes off. Okay. So it was just that little blue washer that was keeping that in place. And yeah, as thought, the belt is off. Yeah, the belt's gone. So the reason why the fast forward and the rewind was working is that mechanism is these gears, and they're geared off the motor. So that's interesting. The motor, normally you just have a belt and it drives a pulley as well as the capstans, and that pulley then operates the fast forward and rewind. What's happening here is, if you can see there, but the motor itself, the spindle on the motor has the guide in the top for the belt, and it also has a cogged toothed area at the bottom, and that's what's driving the rest of this mechanism. I've not seen one like that before. So it does look as though the belt has failed. So what I need to do, I think, is clean it all up. There's no residual belt on here, which is good, but I need to clean the rest of the mechanism, clean the heads. Might as well do all that while it's out. And I will find another belt, and then we'll carry on with the video. So I found this belt in my stock of belts. It's a little bit thinner than this one, but I think the size is right. It looks smaller, but this one of course is stretched. Very stretchy, that one. So I might fit this up just for my tub of spare belts. I keep buying universal packs of belts, putting them in that tub. So let's see how this went. Two capstans, of course, auto reverse. So I guess that one needs to come around here. And this one. And then there. There's a little nick on that belt there. Let's see if I've got a better one. I don't want it breaking. Now I've got another one here, it's slightly thicker as well, so I think that's going to be better. So that looks okay. Those gears look okay too. So there's just 3 main screws here, 1, 2, 3, and then that lock washer for that gear there. So I'll get the playheads and the transport cleaned. Those capstan rollers there look pretty crusty, so I'll clean all those up and we will fit this back and see if this was the cause of the problem. So I've cleaned the heads, cleaned the mechanism and fitted it back into the deck. You can just about see the head there. And the rollers, there's 2 rollers, 2 capstans because it's an auto reverse deck. So that's all being cleaned and it seems to be fine. What I want to do now is just check the speed on this. So I'll just show you it working with a music cassette. It's got an auto load on this, so you just push it in part way. It takes it in and loads the tape. It's got quite a nice display on this. It's a fluorescent display. So we've got a level meter. It shows other bits and pieces like the Dolby logo there, loudness, other bits and pieces. It's got music scan. So pressing the forward on the music scan will forward the tape to a blank part of the tape and then start playing. So it's forwarding, but it's not forwarding at maximum speed. So if we, because it's doing the music scan as well, if we press fast forward, you'll hear that speed up. It's fully logic controlled. We want to play, pause, and then we've got this button which switches the direction. So you see the arrow there, it's forward direction. Press this one and it'll reverse to the other direction. Tone controls here, bass and treble. As said, we've got an auto metal light there, so that if you put a metal tape in, it will automatically light up with the auto metal and adjust the bias for that tape. You can change that display to a peak hold. Yeah, it's quite nice. So yeah, this was a high-end deck back in the day. Obviously power eject as well. So what I want to do now is just check that speed on this machine. So let me just move the angle of this so you can see. So I'm going to use an oscilloscope connected to the output, the line output, and then I'm going to use this 3 kHz calibration tape. Yeah, it's not too good on this camera, but the frequency there is showing as 2.92 kilohertz, 2.91, 2.92. So that's not too bad, but we can tune that up. The motor on this one has a little port at the back, and within there there's a pot where you can adjust the frequency. So if I just turn it on the speakers, you'll be able to hear the tone. And I can adjust this slower or faster. So I'm just increasing the speed until this reads 3 kHz on the output. That's just about there, 2.99, 3.00. So So that's all that's required to adjust the speed on these. So I'll put the lid back on and you can take a last look at it. Excuse the distorted screen there. This is a macro lens that I've just popped on there just so you can see this better. So this is the Alpine 5255. A nice deck and quite easy to work on as well. Replacing that belt was not a problem at all. So if you've got one of these and you're here to replace the belts, then I hope this video has helped. Thanks for watching and I will see you on the next one.